Part 10. Welcome everyone once again. So we are picking up back from final part 9. Now we are at 10. So I left off where my mother met her husband, well, our husband to be, and asked if we want to move up to his house, and I was excited. That day when he came and got us, he took us to a river and it was wonderful. Um, my only first time of being at a river of my recollection. I was 8 years old at this time. So I remember I had a good time. He catch fish. We cooked the fish there at the river. We ate. It was such a gorgeous day, such a wonderful day, unforgettable. Never will forget that day. And we went to the house. Lovely home, big home, and I had a room that I would share with my sister, but I loved it. Big yard. As time went on, my mom turned half of that acre of the land into a beautiful garden. Wonderful, just gorgeous garden. And that was where I did a lot of my writings, a lot of my singing, and find my peace of mind whenever things wasn't going great. So during this time my mom got married, I was not invited to the wedding, which had hurt my feelings and made me really sad, and just had a lot of questions in my mind at that time. However, when he got home, he took her over picked her up and walked her through the door, and it was beautiful. So I was at the after party, the wedding after party, and everybody was celebrating and everyone was having a good time. And shortly after that, things start settling into the household, and getting used to everything. Still wasn't enrolled in any school at this time. I'm thinking maybe it was the summer why I wasn't enrolled. But however, as time went on, I've learned that I was going to move to moved back to Westmoreland, to my stepfather's grandmother's home, Mama Teda. And I was packed up and went to live with Mama Teda in Springfield. That was the name of the area. It was called Springfield. And I think I went to Springfield. She enrolled me into Springfield all-age school. And I remember that the town, there was two places that I remember that comes to head. New Market and a place called Gottas. That was like they would go there to do like shopping or something, like a market. I remember that. So I know that has to be in Westmoreland area, because I was also having remembrance of a child when I used to live up on my own. Me and my uncle, we used to walk up and down, like walk out the place, Back then, him used to go out the bush, go shoot bird, and I used to cry every time. Please, uncle, no kill the bird then, please. And I'm like, now follow me, you want food for eat or what? I remember my uncle is only 2 years older than I was. So I was 6, he was 8. We were little adults in our little bodies, just trying to find food for us. So some remembrance came to me when I was a child. And I remember one of them, when we were at New Roads, we walked, because like I said, we were left upon our own a lot. And we went, I think we walked to New Market. I don't kid you. We were walking, just walking, and wherever we find fruit trees, we eat and just pick and so on. But now I am at Springfield with Mama Teda. That lady took one night to teach me how to read. I know that I knew how to read, but for so many years not being in school, I forgot how to. But once she start to sit down that evening with me and teaching me how to read, it's like it came back to me and I knew how to read again. And that was only one night. And I went to school on Monday morning. I never forgot it. Like I said, people always like to say who your father is. And by the time I got to school, the teachers already know who my dad is. Yes, Jimmy Cliff daughter, blah, blah, blah. And I was only 8 at this time. And I know my father was on the radio. I hear his music, and I know I have seen him on the big picture in a movie and stuff. But as a child, I really don't know, like, oh, he's a superstar. He's this big guy. You know, he's this important guy. So it's just like, everybody's just like, so for me, I'm still humbled within myself, but it's like I don't understand what the fame is. What is it like? Yes, you know who for daughter this, you know who for daughter this. For me, I didn't really understood what it meant because I haven't met him yet, and I was just like, I'm just listening to people talk. So Mama Tita used to cut my books. So my exercise book, or for people who don't know what exercise book means, it's our notebooks. And the notebook had a regular hard paper cover with the printing of the hummingbird on it. And on the back was the timetables and other measurements on the back of the exercise book. We call it exercise book, which you guys would know as a notebook, school notebooks, but back in Jamaica we call these exercise book. We had to learn our timetables, but that's one thing I never forget. My stepfather, while I was home, he always tell me, learn your timetables. So he always tell me to learn it, and I would have to recite my timetables to my stepfather. Even though I wasn't in school at that time, I remember that he used to make me learn my timetables. So by this time I already knew some of my timetables, and the exercise book provided the timetables at the back of the exercise book. So I don't know if anybody understands what a timetable is. For Jamaicans, they definitely know what I'm talking about. But it's the timetable where you say 2 1s 2, 2 2s 4, 2 3 6, and it goes all the way to timetable 12, 12 1s 12, 12 2s 24, and it goes on. So that's what I'm talking about. The timetables, and then on the exercise book it had measurements and stuff like that, which really is good. And I wish a lot of people had that on the books for the children today, to be honest. But that was very helpful. So she would cut my exercise book in two, and she would also cut my pencils. So I bring this up because this is how Jamaican children are really cruel. They tease you. And like I said, by this time, everybody know who my dad is because it spread like wildfire through the school. And I would go to school and they would first say, so how you're Jimmy Cliff daughter and you have half a book and half a pencil? Like, you know, I have half of notebook and my pencil is cut in two, so I have half of the pencil, and my exercise book is cut in two, so I have half of my notebook. So, Jimmy Cliff supposed to rich. Why you are come at this school? Why you come at this school? Why you not go like some big shot school? You know, like a private school. And so those are where the teasing start coming in. Where I'm teased about my books, my knapsack, because I didn't have a knapsack. I didn't have a backpack. So I used to take my books in my hands and my pencils in my skirt pocket, and because we wear the uniform to school. And there was a time when I didn't have any shoes, so I would go to school barefoot, you know, because when my first sneakers was mashed up, my first school shoes was mashed up, it wasn't replaced, so I had to go to school barefooted. And I didn't live far from school. Again, Mama Tata lived on the hill, and I can look down from my house into the schoolyard, and again the church was on a hill, and I could see the church from where I live at. So I used to run down and go to school, and every lunchtime I go back home for lunch and then leave and go back to school. So they used to tease me about my books, my pencil, tease me about not having a school bag, a backpack, and tease me about not having shoes. And I used to go through this every day at school. Oh yeah, Jimmy Cliff daughter, you don't have no shoes. And they would laugh at me and so on. So I didn't have any friends. I would just, every break, when we get break time, I would go to a tree and I would sit down underneath the tree. Sometimes they would follow me up to the tree and just bothering me, just teasing me. And I used to cry at sometimes. I used to cry, like I used to run away to the bushes and just cry where nobody would find me, nobody would see me. And I would go back to my class. And I had to endure all of that, you know. They used to try to pick fights with me and just a lot, you know. It was really ridiculous. But there was this one particular day that the teachers were saying, you know, the rain came down and the teacher was saying, put your heads on the desk and take a break because the rain is falling. So whenever the rain falls, there's thunder, there's lightning, and the classroom gets dark. So the teachers normally tell you to put your head on the desk and take a nap. And they would leave. So this one particular day, they were teasing me and throwing paper at me when the teacher left. And they started throwing paper at me, making turn their exercise book leaf out, rolling it up and throwing it at me and teasing me and laughing at me. And I had my head down on the desk as how I was told to do. And I said, you know what, I'm not going to pay them any attention. But this boy came up and trying to like pick a fight with me. And I ignored him, and I ignored him. And I was like, you know what? Then this other girl came now and started pushing me. Like she's like really provoking me, pushing me. And I was like, you know what? This has gone far too long. And I've made them have their way. Today is not going to happen. This is when I got the name Karate Cat, Part 11.